Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Blue Ridge Ranger, Burn Fat Till My Stomach is as flat as the earth, Chow Yun Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Robinson, David Wayne Foster, Does Studio 68, Edwin Johnson, Owen Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik 86, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Maria Neelands, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Rob H, Skeptic936, Steve ALM, Texas Mike, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Tom Herkins, Unbelievable Productions, and Windrider. So a massive shout out of appreciation to all of you who do support me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a few people in Discord and G+, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. Ryan and Neil in Discord, I've taken them both off mute.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
1:30 in the afternoon here. Good morning.
8:40 in New York.
Good morning, New York.
I'm making coffee, so I don't want to make a racket.
You'll be on the low end of racket if you're just making coffee.
Was that Ryan?
You on mute?
Maybe he didn't intend to actually say anything.
You did say good morning earlier.
So I got a little notification that the ballers put up some of their own housekeeping questions. Did someone see them? Were they the ones that we demolished the last time?
No, they were just followers having fun on Discord.
Ballers, have fun.
Well, sure. Having a ball.
Having a ball. There we go. They gotta have something that reminds them, right?
I think they're in a lot of cognitive pain. I don't think they're having fun at all, if I'm honest.
I agree.
Yeah, they're the... Go on.
I was just going to say there's a lot of ballers in Discord now. Just need more flat earthers to balance it out.
Lots of silent ballers. Chat trolls.
Where are they here? We'll balance it out right here.
No, they're in the chat. They like to post their memes and share their pain.
They don't like to... So they're just chat warriors.
Yeah, keyboard warriors. That's right.
Lowercase W, not a capital W.
Yeah, definitely lowercase warriors. The people we deal with are analogous to, the Matrix example with the blue pill. But it didn't work. They're supposed to wake up and not remember anything. It hasn't worked.
They're supposed to wake up and not remember.
My point is, when you get to that crossroads, you already know what the choice is. And both pills are a lie. They're both part of the control structure. So it doesn't really matter which one you pick. But the people who pick the blue pill are taking that pill under the promise that they'll go back to normality, that, they'll be like all the other normies that surround them. And that's just not true. And with the red pill, it's the truth will set you free. Will it? You've still got to partake in society. The example the other day was with the registering of a car. You stick your straw man coat on and you queue up in the DMV, the DVLA for us. Well, that's part of being in it. You don't think suddenly you're set free from all that. It's not just certain elements of society that you're going to always have to interact with. But suddenly you've got a bit of truth about the world. Well, we don't live on a sphere. Okay, so you've got a bit of truth. Did it set you free? Well, evangelise about it. Mentally, I personally feel more free, but that's very individual. And to try and convert somebody, I often don't understand the benefit when people are on the show telling me about how it needs to be permeated more, or I need to go to mainstream science and tell them where they're wrong. I'm sure they'll thank me so much from the bottom of their hearts when I point out that they're practicing pseudoscience. It's like, why? What is this beyond our own discussion and our own recognition and our challenge to other people who stand in our opposition? Obviously, if I'm honest, I don't want to be that ridiculed guy for realising the obvious and observable nature of our reality. Now we are, so, that's to a certain degree is always going to be something that people want to watch. And obviously I'm going to defend my position in that regard, because it is easy to defend, as far as I can now tell, 4 years on. It's not hard to defend flat Earth. It's really hard to defend the globe, though. Really, really hard. And, the blue pill won't send you back to a point where you don't care about it anymore. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in our chat trolling.
Interesting connections you're making here. Can I add to them?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just chit-chatting.
Yeah, well, the people who accuse you of not doing enough, or that you should be doing this because you know the arguments better than most, and try to place you in front of the line, are the same people who don't realize that you have had a show with all these episodes doing exactly the thing that they're asking you to do. And how did they find themselves to your show? And how easy is it for them to share a link or take one argument at a time and become as expert and knowledgeable as the show allows anyone to, because they're all recorded. You can go back and listen to them. I mean, for me, I'm okay. I don't know every argument that well. I know the ones that are important, the top three. I know backwards, forwards, sideways. And it only takes one to disprove the globe, and I could use any of the top three. So when someone asks me a question about something that I'm not backwards, forwards, good at, I'll say, well, you know what? I haven't done my full investigation there, but here, let's do one that knocks it out of the park. Because if it's this, then it can't be that. So you don't need to know every argument. You just need to know the ones that do it. And then the caveat to that you're not going to convert everybody. Some people just don't want to change. Some people don't want to buy your product, even if you have the better deal. I mean, sales taught me that. There's all kinds of reasons why people won't buy your product. It's not because you're a bad salesman. It's not because your product isn't good. Just move on. Move on to people who have eyes to see and ears to hear.
Indeed. But the statistical conversion rate that you could compare to what you've just described would be a conversion rate of people to your way of thinking. And I simply don't see it that way. For me personally, the stats and metrics I'm paying attention to are my YouTube stats and metrics. How many people are watching, and in many respects it's like my gratitude for the people who stand in our opposition and come here and view, comment, like, subscribe, often share. with the scorn that comes along with it. It's like, well, I'm looking at those metrics, so I'm nothing but grateful. I genuinely thank the trolls for their adverts when they're making little adverts about me, regardless of the nonsense they're spinning about me and the reason for spinning it. But I just see that their necessity to be here would be negated if the pill had worked. Things would be back to normal. They'd be happily going about their business without a concern about this. But they are concerned about it. I've turned a YouTube channel into their concern about it. I'm not concerned. I switch this show off and I'm like, right, what's the rest of my day going to entail? At the moment, it entails a lot of editing out videos so I can actually get some viewership on the material I do produce, but that's neither here nor there, I suppose.
Well, if you're going
Go on.
to limit it to that group of people, then that's a whole different conversation. If it's going to be the trolls and the people who make it their living or life or passion to attack you for having a show that just asks questions of clarity, well, if the earth is this, then why this? And these people have all the time in the world to attack that. What kind of life are they living? What kind of people are these people? Especially when they can't even answer the question. They have to dance around it and have 20 fallacies, hide it. Terms won't define what the terms are until you press them. You find out that Jews are a natural phenomenon and something falls to the ground, how did it know to be food, and all kinds of craziness surfaces when these people are made to define and address their points. It's like, who are we dealing with here? These are crazies. And that's what makes it comical, for us at least. I have a great laugh when I hear those things. They sound so smart until you press them, what does that mean? And then they go, so they mumble and it's just funny as heck. When the rumpus, who sounds so smart, says that the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the earth. I mean, I'm just busting at the seams when I hear that kind of stuff. I mean, so entertaining, your show.
And people have told me that, that's what they get out of it. It's normally the same people that you'll have criticise you for not, exposing enough truth or going far enough with the truth or whatever. And they'll be like, well, what is it that you get out of a discussion with someone like the Rumpus when he's clearly double-speaking and lying? Because in many ways, I see that as detrimental to your cause of the truth. Hearing him double-speak and lie to an audience can only be detrimental. That's why they continue to do it. Muddying the waters. Anyway, but I ask and they say, well, because it's very amusing. You're like, okay. Well, for all those people out there that are like, well, I just want the subjective truth. It's like, well, okay, those videos don't do as well, though, do they? Me just talking about what is the scientific method won't do as well as Rumpus screaming that science doesn't prove things and changing his rhetoric to the whole body of human knowledge because the whole body of science gets a big smashing every time he comes in and utilises that nonsense. Reifies science into some sort of body.
Well, between all the panel members that you have and people who frequent the show that are fans of the show, and then the ballers, we've all together contributed something. But as you lead the show and keep it on track, as a host and producer does, it's amazing how thin that veil is, that lie that's out there. When Chocolate quotes Michio Kaku word for word, Michio Kaku's reduced to rubble. He's phony. But to the general public who don't see the actual quotes and how they're a thin layer and you could easily break through them just by asking a few questions. I mean, who would have thought that someone who's on TV all the time and the internet has this, pedigree of being in the scientific know and all that, would say the things that Michio Kaku says. That goes against the very thing he's supposed to be smart about. Same thing with Neil deGrasse Tyson, Brian Cox, all these other celebrity scientists, pseudoscientists, whatever they are. It's this show that kind of takes that top layer of veneer of authenticity off these guys, and that's what I like the show. I like the show because it says, ask these questions of these people, and you'll see who they really are. This is what your show is to me.
Exactly. So long as there's a religion of globe, I'll always have a show.
Well, you'll have a show for a long time then.
Well, hopefully so. I mean, the longevity aspect was definitely considered when I chose this particular format. It's like, what other subjects have you got that you can break into a little niche on YouTube with? Very, very few indeed. Now, had it been the case that I was later in the game, I'd have spotted that the algorithmic benefit that was offered to somebody who's promoting a very niche subject is quickly lost when they decide that, no, we don't like you disproving our religion that's, the predominant Western world religion. So therefore we'll promote people who are in opposition to you. Regardless of how nonsensical their claims, they'll be the ones that receive the predominant promotion most YouTubers would expect. So therefore with very little effort they can make an absolute killing on this channel, i.e. YouTube. Which frustrates me as a very hard-working YouTuber. But that's just the way it goes. You pick your lot. You're like, well, okay, that is absolutely beyond reasonable doubt the nature of our world. At that point, do you go, well, should I promote Globe because it's more profitable? No, of course not. I don't think I could live with myself.
No, and there's, look at how many shows there are in politics. Not in politics, but about politics, better stated. And then there are a zillion sports shows for all the sports junkies. But the topic you picked, I think, will pay off for you in more ways than one. It's paying off for you now in this way. But down the road, I think this is going to be front and center. And I could see your audience really growing, via other means. It may not just be YouTube alone. It could be other means in addition to YouTube, as much as they censor it and do all whatever they do by not allowing it to pop up right away. As we remember, all the good flat earth content used to pop up right at the first screen before, and now they're all buried somewhere. So I just think people are waking up to the lies of politics, the lies in these other areas, and saying, you know what? This is a phony world I live in the sense the way it's being delivered to me. And I'm going to find out the truth of politics, the truth of sports, and what's this? The nature of our earth? I got to check this out. I think it's going to happen.
I don't know. I was listening to Validation Boy stream this morning from last night, and he was saying that when he talks to certain individuals, he gets to a point where they'll accept that they've been deceived in terms of how their country might be being run, the lies that they might have been told by the media. But when you get to the subject of the nature of reality itself, they'll just put the anchors on, dig their heels in, so to speak.
The masses will be that way. I'm talking about the smaller group that's busy with something else now, but they're the same DNA as us, so to speak. Once this becomes apparent that this is another deception, they'll quickly stop fighting against the politicians and choosing other subjects to be defiant in and cross that, make that line in the sand here and say, what? I've been wasting my time with this party and that party in politics because it's the same coin and they're lying to us both. But this thing here, the nature of our earth, now I got something to hang my coat on that I'm going to be more passionate about. I just think there's another group of people that are going to be the next group of flat earthers that's going to be bigger than the original group, is what I'm trying to say. They just haven't come on board yet.
Maybe. Like I say, it always sounds really selfish when I phrase it in these terms, but I do have a selfish motivation in terms of my own channel, and that's never going to change. It doesn't alter my passion for the subject. That's obvious when you listen to me talking about it. And I couldn't sustain an interest in a channel if I didn't have that passion for the subject matter the channel's covering. So from that perspective, the two are very much intertwined. But, I've been on YouTube a lot longer than I've been a flat earther. It's been about 11 years now. of wanting to be a successful YouTuber. It's been a very, very long, hard slog, and the amount of effort you have to put in to actually be a successful YouTuber, I was acutely aware of. I'm still on that journey of trying to be a successful YouTuber. So, there's always going to be barriers that stand in your way. No one's ever going to rise to the top of YouTube just by pure luck. And I think in the instances where people do just suddenly hit it big, their brightly shining star is also short-lived. So,
Yeah, indeed. But you're going to rise to the top because you laid a good foundation. And the hard work you put in is making that foundation secure. Your loyalty of your listeners of an average of 30 minutes is a testament to that. I am saying that all the other flat earth shows that I get snippets from do not address it from a foundation like yours of the housekeeping questions, of a deliberate knowledge-based, the real science, the real scientific method. The other shows talk about so many other subjects. So, like, I remember 2015, 2016, when I first came on. And this is the cutting edge, not in a boasting way, but because you keep it real and you cut out all the fallacies, it's the cutting edge. And it's the topic of flat earth that dominates your show, not the other topics, where the other shows get falling into all these other topics and talk about so many things that don't matter, so many things you can't prove. Our housekeeping questions are gold. They are so gold, you have no idea. They get boring sometimes for people, but don't ever stop. And don't ever stop what you're doing, because you will have everyone come to your show when the other ones fall away, because yours got the foundation.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Righteous Force and Chocolate Sane in G+, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. Well, considering that very few people here today, that was probably the most enthusiastic start we've had for a while, so excellent. With probably the most limited views we've ever had, a great start to the show. Any signs of physical Earth curve edges?
Not from the Tetons.
No. None of that.
Not in Oklahoma.
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
If there was, we'd know it.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun? Hello, Owen.
Hello?
Hello.
You missed the question. Repeat it.
Oh,
Any
I
evidence?
just came in.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Oh, yeah, it's over there. It's clearly visible right there.
Distance to the sun?
Yeah, well, how can you even try that out? It like keeps moving, every time you try to approach. So I think the only distance the sun really has is an apparent one.
A not actual one. That's very useful.
Almost actual.
Yeah, that guy's never going to live that down.
Almost.
My tape measure only goes 100 feet.
That's probably not going to do it.
Yeah. Almost.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
My daughter's first birthday a couple of days ago, so there's helium balloons everywhere. Just by coincidence. Shout out to Good Servant for the super chat. Really appreciate your support. Subscribe today to Good Servant.
So what happened with those helium balloons at your daughter's first birthday?
Well, they were tied down. They were like, I'd anchored them with a little weight, a 1 and 3 other balloons around it, and I came in this morning and they were all on the ceiling. I don't really know what happened. Maybe entropy took a hold of the knot. In any event, they're all on the ceiling now.
Those rebel gas particles?
Yep.
Well, gravity is not a force, it's an effect, even though we are allowed to think of it as a force, although I don't see any use for that other than to assist in surreal thought experiments about the nature of our realm. So, yeah, just an effect.
It is just an effect, and to be fair, it doesn't even make the top 3. But we'll get into that after the housekeeping. Oh, I've got to shout out my playlist that's done, housekeeping playlist. I'll do that at the end. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Nope. Limited what they can do.
Hey, Elijah.
They can think of it as science, though. No.
Absolutely not. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh.
Any evidence
What
of
up, Eli?
any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Good morning, Paul Hall.
Hello.
Hello.
No such thing, Nathan. Nothing made up.
I do get hungry every time you say that.
Yummy molten iron core.
Oh, it sounds like the Tootsie Roll commercial.
The iron, it's molten iron or like strawberry filling or something, Just, yeah.
You know what my favourite rebuttal to that is?
The ball is just completely abandoned.
They've completely abandoned it, did you say, Elijah? Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, since I've been watching your show, which is at least a year more now, I've never heard anyone try to address the core. That's sad.
The best rebuttal is like a commenter coming along going, "Look at this textbook. It says it's a solid core." I love that. That's my favourite reply. Oh yeah. So you got evidence of that solid core, have you? That solid self-perpetuating core. I love it.
Well, how'd they come up with that?
The same bullshit as how they come up with the molten iron core. Does it matter? It's just a bullshit story. But changing the story and saying, look, the textbook says solid. All right, and what's it basing that on? You know what I mean?
I thought something hit the earth and deposited something.
Oh, you want the story of Thea? Has anybody got the Star Wars music to hand? Just as an intro. Oh, that's the Darth Vader march. That'll do.
Not the Empire.
that's the Empire March or whatever it's called.
Evil Empire.
Perfect. A long time ago in a galaxy not so far away, there was this small planet, not about maybe half the size of what the Earth currently is, and that small planet was called Thea, and Thea was happily on a sun-centric orbital system like the Earth. But little did the fledgling smaller Earth know that this planetoid was on a collision course with Earth, And one day, with a glancing blow, Thea struck Earth. Not enough to destroy the fledgling Earth planet, but only enough to destroy the Thea planet. Its debris being spread out into the regions of gravitational attraction to form itself into the moon. Now, fortunately, this entire process deposited an extra large molten iron core from Thea into the centre of Earth, which then reshaped itself, and the gravitational accretion formed the moon from the debris, which is why the moon and those petrified bits of wood they brought back when they claimed to travel through a second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum to that rock in the sky they claim was formed in this process. That's why it's the same as what we have on Earth, because essentially the moon is Earth. It was formed from a collision a long, long time ago. And that story is 100% true because they made it up themselves, children.
Oh, Uncle Nathan.
Can I respond to that?
Hang on,
Before you
Uncle
go?
Nathan, tell us about the gas particle story. One more.
No, we're not talking about those now.
Hold on. Let me
Subject, don't
deal with
ruin
him,
it,
Arwin,
man.
and then you can have the mic. I'm sorry, 10th man. My fuzzy little friend. That
Arwin,
story about the
stop
rebellious gas
gaslighting.
particles, that will have to wait for another night, children.
No, but I'm just wondering, like, how are they going to model, not science, the physical situation of something crashing into a ball, and then based on R-based gravity idea and all that, blah, 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 overlooking the law of thermodynamics for the gas and all that. And then how would that explosion result, like the shattering of material falling in all directions, and then end up into a moon that is perfectly synchronous with the Earth, always facing the same way forever? How does
Explain
that
this.
model?
Didn't you listen? You didn't listen to the end of the story.
But
I said
did you
it's
see the
all
cartoon?
true because they made it up themselves.
I don't know, man. I want to see a 3D modeling based
They
with
had a
physics and all that.
cartoon of all of this. This
Yeah,
was
I
on
can get you a
History Channel
cartoon.
long
No, but
time
I
ago.
want to see it with physics models. Come on.
Yeah. I can. No worries.
You can
I
do
can
it.
get. No worries.
You can do
Look,
it.
no worries. I can write at the bottom of it, physics model. No problem.
Now you're thinking like a scientist.
Yeah, you see, Arwin knows the score. Now I'm thinking like Dr. Becky. Right, moving on. Any evidence?
Leave her
Yeah.
alone. She's doing science.
Go on, Neil. Go, Neil. Go. Don't let there be dead air.
I was saying, leave her alone. She's doing science right now.
Yeah, she's typing out an email. Science.
Oh.
Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius.
Absolutely not.
Well, at best, they don't have an R. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're
We've
doing
disproved
now.
their models radius.
At best, the Black Swan disproved Earth-based geometry. At best.
Yeah, it's been from no to absolutely hilariously no in 2020.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, this coronavirus thing has distracted away from the real Black Swan, which is a shame, but that's not an issue as far as I'm concerned. We can get that right back on track. People have just been distracted from the obvious and observable nature of their reality and the lack of globe-based geometry to prove any sphericity. But we can readdress that. The Black Swan has indeed debunked the R value. No longer can they trust in R. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
Here's your moment, 10th man.
No gas pressure without a container. Impossible. I'm just sad that Arwin ruined the Uncle Nathan show. I'll have to wait till tomorrow.
What? But what did your gas thingy have to do with the molten iron core? I didn't see there. Just
Oh, the gas. Oh,
You wanted details when it's a fairy tale, and I wanted another fairy tale before.
Yeah, he wants the story, Arwin. He wants the rebellious gas particles burning their bras at the Kármán line in that whole process. So after Thea smashed into Earth and there's debris flying everywhere ready to coalesce into the moon with the not actual force bending of pseudo-Ramonian force space conceptual medium, when that all happens, obviously there's not going to be any gas around. It's all been blasted off into space. Forget the fact that it wouldn't have been able to form pressure in the first place. But from that point, you've got maybe gases being produced at ground level. What do they do when they are produced at ground level and head off into space? At what point do they decide to be those rebellious, bra-burning gas particles that decide the entropy laws don't apply to them? And they get to what, I don't know, I'm going to call it the Kármán line. And they say, I'm going to stop right here. Natural law, screw you. And they burn their bras and they stay at the Kármán line. Or maybe change direction or stop altogether. Who knows? Again, that story's to be made up at a later date. Till then, we've just
they're
got natural
falling
law.
perpetually in place because of the bending of space-time. So they're trying to expand, but they actually stay in place because of the equilibrium between the bending of space-time and the gas pressure expansion. Oops, did I just say that?
Fear sells, therefore flat Earth is very scary. Is flat Earth scary? Thanks for the super chat, Cleary. That's a very interesting point you've made there. I don't know. Is flat Earth scary?
Very scary.
Really? Why?
I think
I've been
it's
saying,
terrifying for
I've
some
been saying
people.
that flat Earth is like the reason that people act like it's almost like they know what you're going to show them and they put blindfolds on and they can sense it. And I think it's fear of actually addressing all of that. Very first question you got when the teacher told you it was a ball in school and you said, huh? Yeah, you've stopped questioning that for that long. And when you realize, holy shit, that question that didn't get addressed, it scares the living shit out of you. It scared me.
That's not what I mean. I get that. I get that people don't like change. I get that, if your paradigm's going to fundamentally change, that could be scary, the change. But the nature of reality itself, what is outside your window does not change. It's not going to unfold when you realise the obvious and observable nature of our reality. Earth is flat. But when you look out the window having realised that, nothing actually changes. It's only internal. You appreciate something that you were deceived about. But that itself, flat Earth, why would that be scary?
That's a good point. Seeing is that nothing changes physically, but I mean that's the thing, because their minds have been whisked away by the authority, and it's like it's like not realizing you were scared of spiders, and then all of a sudden you wake up and they're all over your room. You know what I mean? It's like a mental thing, I think.
Sure.
I think I know.
Go on, Neil.
I think because when you start to pay attention to flat Earth, they start to wonder, what else have they lied to me about in school or not told me the truth about? If this is not true, then geez, what else is not true?
Ah, great. I get to plug a video I love plugging. So there's a channel called Haunted House. And on Haunted House's channel, he's got conspiracy cats declaring exactly that. Well, if it was true, then the governments would be lying to me and things of that nature. He also goes into how much sleep he'd be losing, obviously phrased in a manner that makes it seem that could only potentially happen, but he declares his contemplation of these things quite openly. I shouldn't be smiling, but it's priceless. Yeah, they're all absolutely terrified, and yeah, I completely agree with you. But from my point sat here right now, is it liberating? Well, if you like the adventure of not knowing things and you're not too scared that, Big Brother's lying to you left and right, you might have a greater appreciation of that. Eventually you get to the point where you go, well, the whole thing's a bit of a joke, really. At the moment they've shut the world down with a cold. You got to laugh, right? Because it's a joke. So, does that terrify me or liberate me in any way? Nah, I've still got to go and register my car and stuff. It's a real ball ache. So what else are you going to do other than laugh? But the fear that currently is set around people's expectations of the situation that befalls them or the potential future situation that might befall them, That's all I seem to hear about at the moment. So it's like when someone says flat Earth's something to be fearful of, I'm like, hold on a second. I just go, wow, I wonder what the sky is. What's the sun? That's amazing. I have no idea what that is. What a wonderful world of discovery we have before us. That's cool. But scary? I don't know. Maybe terrifying for your individual that's content in the fact that he is told everything and nothing's to be figured out. And that sounds quite lazy to me. I don't need to figure anything out. It's all been figured out for me, so I can just sit and not do a thing. But that sounds like a pretty pathetic life by my standards. But who am I to lay down these standards, eh?
Well, actually, between what Neil said and you commented on, it's a pretty good description of how people don't want change. And how can I put it? People don't change because it's uncomfortable to change. And if you bring in flat Earth, it's so uncomfortable because they want this illusion to be real because they're comfortable in the illusion. Oh man, I can't deal with that, so yes. I don't want to talk about it. And so the reason is because they're wired that way. Whereas we're wired the way you just said it. It's like, really? Oh my gosh, there's so much to find out. We're not afraid. We want the illusion exposed. These others, which are the masses, unfortunately, want the illusion.
It's easier to lie to somebody than convince them that they've been lied to. So, for an example, insurance. Your insurance gives you a promise that were the worst to happen, you would be covered. You would have a fallback. And with that in mind, you take the bait from a company that's there to make profit with this idea that you'll be secure should the worst happen. Now, when the worst happens, and you go to your insurance company and they say, no, we interpret the policy thusly, because we are also the people who will interpret this policy before paying you. Didn't you know that? And you go, well, surely there's a third party that decides what's fair and what isn't. And they go, no, we decide that. We have the underwriters, and we've decided that this doesn't get covered. So, on your Todd. Go on. Bugger off. And you go, I was under the impression that I was safe and sound when I was paying out my premiums. So you gotta wonder, why would that person be under the impression that they were safe and sound only to find out that they weren't safe and sound? Well, because it's really easy to lie to somebody. But someone like me comes along and says, why are you paying your insurance premiums? If the worst happens, all they're going to do is set their underwriters to task in any way possible not to pay you out. And that person goes, no, their whole purpose is to keep me safe. You go, no, that's just an illusion. That their whole purpose is to keep their business in good stead. Obviously, there's a limit. Occasionally, they're going to have to pay out. But generally speaking, that's why they've got a whole army of lawyers and underwriters to make sure you don't. But, feel free to continue in your delusions about why you have insurance. I only personally use the ones that are absolutely mandatory. But, feel free to feel protected when the army of lawyers and underwriters aren't going to protect you. Well, you're going to have a lot of effort to try and convince somebody of that because they've already bought into the idea of protection, and even when they've shown that their protection doesn't come, somebody else around them who's also deluding themselves of the same level of protection will tell them that it's their fault. You were an idiot. You didn't read your policy. And you go, well, I did read my policy. I'm really careful about those things. Well, you should sue them then. You're like, what? I thought they were there to protect me. Why am I suing them? But you try and explain this to anybody who's filling out an insurance policy, they'll just ignore you because they want the comforting lie. They don't want the harsh reality of the truth. Well, you're on your own, mate. You might not have any protection. Why don't you just stash that money in a bank account? They're not going to want to hear that. Far from it. So when it comes to things like the nature of reality, you telling somebody, you've been completely deceived. Yeah, that's actually a religious belief. Yeah, they're not obviously going to overtly state to you that it's a religious belief. Your sun-centric description of a model is just that. You putting the sun at the centre of your world. Well, okay, that's a way of looking at it to understand better in a philosophical way how the stars move. But it doesn't mean that you should reify it because there's lots of pictures of it on a television screen into actually being a spherical surface beneath your feet. That's just a philosophical model. But, also the state religion Well, will they thank you for it? They'll tell you you're an idiot. You haven't read your policy correctly. Right? Nobody wants to be the fool that was lied to. So when you say, oh, no, you've been deceived, they don't want to hear it. Because they're smarter than that. How could they have been deceived? They're too smart.
Right on.
Right. Yeah, and then when they have to confront it, it hurts. And it doesn't quickly go away either. So most people then just, I can't do this. I'm going to go back into the nonsense. Because everybody does that anyway, right? That's, yeah.
Yep.
The Western world now.
I was
Pride,
actually
isn't
the
it?
victim.
Go on, Neil.
I was actually the victim of that in extended warranty for the previous vehicle I had. They got me.
Yeah.
So don't buy into extended warranties.
Right. I used to sell them. My first real job. I had several jobs before that, because as a student to pay my way. But my first job after education was in an electrical retailer, and one of the things we were strongly targeted on was selling basically those policies. Not insurance. Don't tell them it's insurance. Anyway, aside from that, I want to do a couple of plugs. So I've made a playlist, and it's the first playlist that appears on Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, and it is for very shortened, concise housekeeping question and answers. So for each of the, I think there's 8 housekeeping questions, they've been trimmed down to their most concise form just by sort of forced chance, if you will. We went through them very concisely on one of the shows, and all of those have been trimmed out with a little intro and outro, and tagged up correctly and put into a playlist. So it's one of those things that I did because I'd been asked so often to do it. Can you just put together very short videos I can share? Nobody wants to see, or nobody I share my videos with wants to see the hour-long show to get the gist of it. Can't you just give me a 3-minute video that picks one thing apart? And you're like, yeah, I'll get to it. I've now gotten to it. I've done it. It's nicely done. I took a long time over each of them, even though they were only short 2 or 3 minute videos. I've gone to a fair amount of effort to actually edit them nicely, present the information with a little visual representation of whatever's being talked about, or an visual example. So I've gone to a fair bit of effort with them, and I want people to share them. I'm not going to lie about it. So check it out. It's on a playlist. It's just called Housekeeping, and there's about 10 or 11 videos in there, I believe. Maybe a couple more, maybe a couple of less, I forget. But with a couple of debates with people going through specifically a couple of aspects of housekeeping questions, because several of them are intertwined with one another, so you can see the questions being thrashed out in debate, along with a concise question and answer in terms of how and why each question gets demolished. The only exception is the molten iron core question, which is just any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. A few grunts and groans, and then 2 or 3 people go, no. It's like, alrighty then, and then there's the outro, which is as much a gag as anything else, because what requirement is there? There's just simply no evidence for it. So beyond that, though, obviously things like gas pressure without a container, it's explained. If the sky was a vacuum, second law of thermodynamics dictates entropy would increase, the gas would fill the space. The sky is not a vacuum. That's probably a little bit more concise than that video, but you get the general idea. So please check it out. If you've not watched one of them, watch them. They're a good gateway into each of those questions and answers. And I've heard other people in debate use the bare bones of the question and answer from those concise playlisted videos. So check them out. Hopefully share them. Share the playlist. Share an individual video with somebody that doesn't want a 10-minute video. They only want 2 minutes. Well, there's several for you to share with others. And hopefully that'll help my viewing metrics. Hopefully it'll widen the eyes of a few people that might not potentially sit through a full-on hour debate about this subject. So there we go. That's enough plugging of my housekeeping playlist. Please check it out.
Can you add today's story time to the molten iron core?
I mean, it's funny. The story of Thea and the story of the gas particles burning their bras. It's just a bit too farcical. There is no evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core or solid core.
Right,
So
right. But if you add it to that short version of no, then it's at least makes it makes it fun for everyone.
Especially as you got the theme music being whistled in the background while you're telling the story. I mean, it's great.
Okay, I'll think about it. I don't know. I dedicated an entire week of work, like solid morning, noon, and night, getting those edited, prepared, little cards at the end, published, premiered if they were a little bit longer, monitoring the chat, you name it. It was so much effort. And to be honest, that one video about the Molten Iron Core, I'm smiling now because before it was even published, I played it to myself. I'm not gonna lie, I did play it over and over again, laughing when it got to the no. Okay then, moving on. The outro plays. I just thought it was really funny. I don't know why. Maybe I've just got a silly sense of humour, but to me it was very amusing.
Well, that's
that was actually good because I think it was Arlo. It was just like, and I said no, and it was like, all right, that's it. I liked it.
That's exactly why the story time should be as an addendum to it. You know, you don't have to go edit the original one. Just there's an addendum to this. Oh, okay, story time about the Molten Iron Core.
I don't know. It's one of those not exactly the most common of stories. A lot of globeheads don't know the story of Thea, and I'd feel like I'm just perpetuating that nonsense. You know, if you put too much effort in, you're like, and Thea struck out glancing blow. You know, you put all your passion into it, and all you end up doing is programming some fundies, and they're like, actually, I didn't know that. Did you know that the moon was created from debris from Thea smashing into Earth, depositing its molten iron core into Earth's molten iron core? I didn't know that. And suddenly some guy's actually been programmed with that story, like it's actually true. They completely ignore the true because they made it up themselves bit. I think some shorter vids is a great... Sorry,
I saw that on History Channel a long time ago. I don't know how people don't know that story.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. A lot of people don't know how the moon was claimed to come into existence by their current rhetoric. It's changed, you know. That's not the only... You can have many stories, you know. Anyway, quick shout out to God Scalpel, who says, I think some shorter videos is a great idea. Like I say, God Scalpel, lots of people had asked me to do it. I have now done it, so check them out. It's a mixture. The longest video on there is probably 10 or 12 minutes. The majority of them are 2 or 3 minutes. So, you know, check it out. Hopefully people will share the playlist. I don't often make playlists, to be honest, but that one was very specifically something that people had asked me for, so I've done it. I've put the effort in, so God damn it, share it. Another quick plug. So come Saturday, what day is it today? Is it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. So in 3 days' time, there will be a Ballbusters, a live Ballbusters. Now, although I often forget to plug the shows throughout the week, this time I'm going to, because I've got to practice what you preach in this regard, and I'm telling people our shows don't really reach a great deal of people when they're live. 2 or 3 weeks ago, they just weren't being seen live. Now they are being seen live, but then they vanish shortly afterwards. So, you know, a lot of my debates that were getting 2,000 views, 1,800 views, 2,200 views in days gone by, you know, sometimes more, 4,000, 7,000 views sometimes, you know, if it's a good show, and gets a lot of shares because we're covering somebody that everybody hates or everybody loves, whichever way around you want to prefer it. But my point is that now that this live show will struggle to get 800, 900 views. The fact that there's 200 people now watching, which certainly wasn't the case a couple of weeks ago, is great. But my impression is that the only people who watch after the live show ends are people that have shared it and they've seen a link and come to it that way, because you just can't seem to find the show. And people keep telling me that, you know, oh, where did the show go? Or I was watching the show and then I couldn't find it afterwards, or things to that nature. And you're like, okay, so there is at least a reason that people are giving me in terms of why they're not watching the show, or leaving the show and then failing to find it when they come back to watch it later, or whatever. So for that reason, I'm pestering people more than ever to actually, you know, genuinely click the share button. I know I say it in the intro every day, but, you know, click the Facebook button, click the Twitter button, click the Discord button, and actually share the show, because those are the people that will actually come and watch it rather than them being in any way, shape or form recommended it after the fact, even if you're subscribed. Heartbreaking, as that is my predominant purpose in being here. I'm a YouTuber. Nevertheless, I'll keep my shout out going for you, Quantum Eraser, on Saturday. So be here, or be Sphere, 7 p.m. UK time. I think it's 2 p.m. Central. Maybe I'm wrong with the time. Or is it Eastern? I always get the times confused. Nevertheless, around that sort of time. Who knows the time,
Yeah,
US
I
time?
think it's 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern.
1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time. Ballbusters live! So be here or be Sphere on Saturday on the Quantum Eraser channel. What we will be covering is the top 3. Now, to promote this when he first mentioned it to me, I did a quick, literally 30 seconds a question, joke, top 3. Joke as in I didn't give any real substance to each of the questions, I just stated them. And a couple of people picked up on it and took it as their opportunity to debunk the the countdown top 3. It's like that was done just to rattle off the 3, you know, in a list almost. And people like literally took that as like, oh, I can debunk that. It's like, what? In a jokey countdown that you think is the substance of those 3? I don't think so. So that's what's going to be covered on Ballbusters on Saturday. So be here or be Sphere, Quantum Eraser channel, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK.
Well, good luck with that one, ballers. I mean, you can't even find the geometric horizon to start with. You're going to take on the top 3?
Well, I mentioned earlier that gravity doesn't even make it into the top 3, which it doesn't. You know, gravity is not a force. End quote. There you go. What do you want?
Wow.
It's not a force.
Who would have ever thought that in 2015, that gravity wouldn't make it a top 3? Now look at where it's fallen.
I don't know where it sits in the list, but it's certainly not top 3. I mean, we'll go through the top 3 now, I'm hoping, although we've just lost Paul and Righteous. But there we go. Hopefully people in the Discord will join in and pipe up. We shall see. But where do you want to start, 10th man?
Well, let's start with number 3, Coriolis.
Coriolis effect. Perfect. So this has been covered, quite fortunate because we'll probably keep it a bit more concise as the number 3 entry. And Coriolis effect is the claim that Earth spins if we see Coriolis effect, a real effect, observed from a non-inertial spinning reference frame of something that is, let's use an example where something's stationary. So you're in a house with a roundabout, and you sat on a roundabout, and above you is a lighting fixture fixed to the ceiling. As you turn, the fixture will seem to come towards you and seem to move away. Seem to move towards you and seem to move away. It's not actually moving at all, it's fixed to the ceiling, but you're rotating underneath. Well, that seeming to come towards you and seeming to move away is Coriolis deflection, and not actual deflection. It's not actually moving, it's fixed. Now, for this to be translatable onto a globe Earth, then anything that's not attached to the spinning reference frame, so akin to the roundabout being the thing that's spinning and the fixture on the ceiling not being the thing attached to the spinning reference frame. Well, globe Earth is claimed to be a spinning reference frame, a non-inertial spinning reference frame, and when things leave that reference frame, i.e. a ball gets kicked on a football field, it seems to curve. In reality, it's travelling in a straight path, but because Earth is claimed to rotate underneath the ball, you observe an apparent deviation. That's what Coriolis effect is claimed to be if we observe it on Earth. The problem is, if Earth is rotating underneath that football when it leaves the non-inertial claimed to be spinning reference frame of a ball Earth, then a drone would only have to hover and you would observe Earth rotating underneath the drone. Likewise, an aeroplane travelling from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles would have a 1.5 hour flight time because LA would be travelling towards the plane as the plane travelled towards it. If Earth has Coriolis effect, Earth is rotating underneath a ball, a drone, a helicopter, a hot air balloon, an aeroplane, a gyroscope, a pendulum. And if Earth is rotating underneath a drone, you would see it drift away from you at 1,000 miles an hour as soon as it left the non-inertial spinning claimed to be Earth. Now, we don't observe this effect in anything. The only claims that are made in regards to this effect are claimed by the High Priest like Neil deGrasse Tyson, because there's no one to challenge him, And with things like footballs that only remain in the air for a couple of seconds, not enough time for anybody to give any consideration to the fact that an aeroplane stays in the air for a much longer period and absolutely doesn't have the Earth rotating underneath it, as claimed we see in the football. Now, to summarise the rebuttals. Their rebuttals are, firstly, Earth and atmosphere travel as one reference frame. If that was the case, obviously they need to assume Earth spinning even when they're debunking their own argument. If that was the case, then we wouldn't have any Coriolis deflection. If Earth and atmosphere travel as one reference frame, we don't have the necessary ingredients of two reference frames to show us a deviation. This defence is usually used when we point out that planes aren't deviating. You don't see planes seem to curve from the ground while they actually take a straight path and Earth turns underneath them, giving you, the observer, a curved line that the plane is taking, when in reality it's travelling straight. Earth's just rotating underneath, because if Earth's rotating underneath, the flight times would be shortened when travelling west and increased when travelling east. We don't observe this. Drones don't drift away from us at 1,000 miles an hour on the equator. Balloons don't just go up in the air and wait for continents to arrive to them. None of this actually happens, because Earth is not rotating. So the defence of one reference frame is an assertion we don't have the claimed proof Earth spins in the form of Coriolis deviation, because they're travelling as one reference frame. So that falls on its arse. The next thing to do is convolute the circling frame of reference, in this case a roundabout, with a fixture above it that seems to come towards you and seems to move away when you rotate underneath it. They take that lighting fixture and change that into something that's spinning, like a hurricane. Well, Coriolis effect is observed from a rotating reference frame. It's not you observing something actually rotate. Coriolis effect is an illusion. The lighting fixture doesn't move. It seems to, because you rotate underneath it. So by comparison to a hurricane, the lighting fixture doesn't have to move. In fact, it doesn't move. When you throw a ball, the ball travels straight and only seems to curve, a la Neil deGrasse Tyson's example with a football. The ball travels straight and the Earth rotates underneath, according to him. Of course, Earth isn't rotating underneath planes, though, and they would definitely exemplify this effect if it was to be observed. We don't have an Earth that rotates underneath anything, and the only rebuttal is to confuse an audience member and bamboozle a debate opponent into an assertion that we have Earth spinning without the effect. So beg the question that Earth's spinning whilst defying the very thing that's claimed to prove that proves the spin, and that would be Coriolis effect, a deviation observed from the ground when something leaves a non-inertial spinning reference frame of a claim to be spinning Earth. We don't observe the effect. Earth isn't spinning. A defence that we wouldn't see any deviation is to defend a claim that we see deviation proving Earth spins by saying we don't see it. Anything anyone else wants to add to Coriolis effect?
I like to, because they love it so much, right? I want to go back to their citation that they like to drop on us, because they like to tell us that we don't understand the Coriolis effect, but yet the citations that they use to try to prove their effect kind of disagree with the narratives that they use. So I posted it in Master B. I don't know if you want to pull it up.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So to reiterate the causes of this supposed effect that we're supposed to see on Earth, right? So here's a citation from thought.co or thoughtco.com or whatever. So the object is not actually moving off its course. It only appears to be doing so because the Earth is turning beneath it. Right? Causes of the Coriolis. The main cause of the Coriolis effect is Earth's rotation. As the Earth spins in a counterclockwise direction on its axis, anything flying or flowing over a long distance above its surface is deflected. This occurs because as something moves freely above the Earth's surface, the Earth moves east under the object at a faster speed. So key points of this are the Earth is supposed to be moving underneath objects in the air. which they like to avoid like the plague, apparently, because that's not what's happening. So they have to try to, conflate as to why we don't see this effect that's supposed to actually exist and prove that the Earth is spinning. Well, here it is, guys. This is your citation telling you your Earth is supposed to be spinning underneath these objects, showing us Coriolis. So the next time you guys want to continue to say, "Oh, the Earth's not actually supposed to be rotating underneath," Zenik, yeah, enjoy that. And I'll pull this out on you each time to reiterate that point. I'm done.
Yeah, they need a Coriolis deflection. That's the thing that's supposed to prove Earth spins. So all I need to do is say, here you go. You say Earth spins at a rate of 15 degrees an hour underneath a gyroscope. That's your claimed proof Earth spins. Earth rotates under the fixed frame of the gyro.
I think it's important to acknowledge the cause of Coriolis is what we're holding their feet to. The causes of Coriolis.
Yeah, to have a Coriolis effect, you need something like the roundabout, with you sat on it, spinning underneath of the things that aren't spinning on the roundabout. That's what Coriolis effect is. It's really easy to show. All you need is a roundabout. Throw a ball up in the air, it doesn't come back to your hand, it seems to curve off behind you. Well, actually, it's just going up and straight down again. The position that you let go of the ball, it'll go up from there and down from there. If someone was watching it, it would go up and down, but you continue to rotate underneath. And to have a Coriolis effect on Earth, you're on a spinning Earth, and Earth's rotating underneath. Bullets, balls, drones, helicopters, hot air balloons, aeroplanes. But we don't observe that effect. So they justify it by saying, well, we wouldn't expect to see this claim to be proof of Earth spinning Coriolis deflection. We wouldn't see it because blah, 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 blah. All the time begging the question that Earth's spinning while they say why it doesn't show deflection. The very thing that's supposed to prove it is spinning.
Well said.
Dun 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 dun. Down one at number 2. It's gas pressure without a container.
Yeah, we have it.
So let's just lay it out concisely. The sky is not a vacuum. We have a law of nature which dictates that if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space. We wouldn't have any gas to breathe if the sky was a vacuum. The gas would expand in all directions to fill the available volume it has to fill. Shout out to Guns of Navarone RMP. Ballers wearing earplugs here because hearing the truth terrifies them. Thumbs up. Thank you very much for the super chat. Space is a violation of several laws of nature. The sky is not a vacuum. Anybody got anything to add?
Nope.
You want to weasel gravity in there just for the sake of it?
Well, I think we should have you talk about gas behavior.
Okay.
Oh, Nathan, you wanted to repeat my insert I gave about that earlier? About how the bending of space-time the gravity bending of space-time may be at equilibrium with the gas pressure expanding, causing the effective gas to remain in place, opposing the outer space vacuum. Makes sense, right?
Well, for gas to be in equilibrium, you mean it's got an equal and opposite force opposing it? Well, gravity is not a force.
Well, technically, it's just the bending of space-time. So, yeah, it's bending. It's like it's moving, but at the same time, space is moving it in the opposite direction.
How does one bend
Wait,
time?
hold on. I have a question. Something that's not a force actually cause a force?
Well, that's kind of the trick, isn't it? They suggest that instead of physical displacement within space, it is space that displaces. Therefore, effectively, there would not have to be a force because space itself would be the thing, bending, moving in order to cause the displacement. Effectively, it's very tricky.
That's fascinating. Gravity, even if you accept that it's real, it isn't. Gravity's not a force. But let's say we take the assumption that gravity is a force and apply that to our world. Entropy will still increase. That is a law of nature. Not the bending of a conceptual medium, I might add. A law of nature. Entropy will increase. The gas will fill the space. You won't show me any demonstrations of gas pressure without a container by way of a force called gravity. Gravity is not a force, and you can't have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container.
What is a pressure gradient?
It's a delta of gas pressure. So first you have a container, then you can achieve gas pressure, then you can achieve a gas pressure gradient.
But we have what the gradient come from? Where is it coming from?
From gas pressure. I just explained that 10 seconds ago. I'll try again.
No,
First you have a container. That's the necessary antecedent for gas pressure. Then you have gas pressure. So first container, then gas pressure. Then you can have the delta of gas pressure, which is a gas pressure gradient. Notice the words gas pressure are in there before the word pressure. So you can't have a gas pressure gradient without gas pressure, and you can't have gas pressure without a container. And the globe Earth is claimed to be an open system in a sky vacuum, a pressurized system hurtling through a sky vacuum. That's a violation of a law of nature. Entropy would increase and the gas would fill the space. You can't have gas pressure without a container. So I don't know why you're talking about gas pressure gradients. You definitely need a container for a gas pressure gradient.
What is the cause for the gas pressure gradient in the container?
Well, we have gases being created at ground level. They taught you this in 8th grade geography about the gas cycles. Yeah, if you produce something at ground level, obviously that's going to be where the greatest amount of it is. Gets less as you go up. Like if you boil a kettle, you put your finger right over the nozzle where the steam's being produced and it'll burn your finger. If you put your finger about a metre above it, there's less of it. It's dissipated. Surprising that. Gas dissipates, expands in all directions to fill the available volume. But obviously, if you're pumping out more and more at ground level, there's going to be more at ground level than there is higher up. Obviously, it's going to make its way up. You've got air at the top of Everest. It's just not a great deal of it's being produced up there. So there's less of it up there. It dissipates. But to have the gas pressure form a gradient, you'd still need the antecedent of a container. And the globe Earth reification religion has this ridiculous idea that we're in an open system and that open system is surrounded by a vacuum. An available volume for the gas to fill. It wouldn't form pressure at all. If we were on a sphere in a sky vacuum, we wouldn't have gas pressure, let alone a gas pressure gradient. It wouldn't be able to form. It would just all disappear into space. It's called entropy.
So you're saying a gas is created from the ground, at the ground, from what?
No, it's created in midair. No, yes, it's created at the ground. They taught you this in 8th grade geography. Gas cycles, mate.
With cycles?
Yeah, cycles.
No, I didn't learn that.
Things that
we can tell.
that create gas tend to be on the ground, like trees and us. And
Said he didn't learn this.
Yeah,
we know you didn't learn this. We're having to educate you in this now. You didn't pay attention. Maybe you're off graffitiing or snogging girls. Who knows? But I did actually pay attention, and gas cycles were definitely taught to other people during their general comprehensive education. I appreciate you don't know this. That's a shame. But gases are definitely produced at ground level. Not high up in the middle of the sky, there's nothing to produce them there. So the higher you go, the less there is, because they're not being produced higher up, are they? They're being produced at ground level. So that kind of makes logical sense, but it doesn't really address the fact that you'd need a container for the gas to press upon. Because obviously if it's just being produced, pumped out of the ground, it starts heading upwards, and it can just keep on going forever. How are you ever going to achieve a gradient? It would all just dissipate into the available volume of the sky vacuum out of space. It would just fill that space. Like natural law dictates. It's really easy to show. It's natural law.
I still don't get it. What creates the gas? What is creating the gas?
Sorry, did you not learn about the water cycle? You know, rain falls, sun heats it up, it turns into a gas, floats up higher and higher, and then cycles back down again? You didn't learn about this.
I don't have water on my floor, and the pressure there is lower than my head.
Sorry, do you understand that the water that's creating steam on your floor isn't creating it in the middle of your room? It's creating it on the ground and then turns into a gas, which then makes its way upwards. You don't appreciate that's what's occurring. You think that's wrong. I'm answering your question. There's no necessary reason to answer your question beyond a demonstration of a lack of comprehensive education, which is amusing. You were the same guy that gave us an almost actual location. So that's funny that you don't have this education while you question us about it continually. We're telling you over and over again that gases are produced at ground level. That's correct. And obviously, if they're being produced at ground level, they're going to thin out as you go up. Like with my kettle example. You haven't accepted any of this stuff. You're still questioning me. Now, I point out that the reason we talk about gas pressure at all is because without the container, there can be no pressure. That's a quote from a chap called Conspiracy Cats. He's a globetard. He shares his pain with people like Haunted House on a video where he describes how terrifying it would be to realise you've been lied to about these sorts of things. Nevertheless, his quote stands. Without the container, there can be no pressure, end quote, Conspiracy Cats 2019. So yeah, you'd need a container to have gas pressure to form a gas pressure gradient, which was your question. So if you're a fundy, and I know pretty much already that you are, where's this gas forming pressure? What's it pressing on at the top?
I don't get it. Is my floor creating gas?
If you spill water on it, yeah.
There is air coming out of my floor, you're saying. If I cover it, I will see a balloon.
Mate, is this really going to be how I round out my show, educating someone in basic comprehensive water cycle? Really? You want me to spend the next 5 minutes of my live show educating you on how gas is produced at ground level, not in the middle of the sky?
I think he's just kind of being a clown.
I don't know.
Gases are coming out of the middle of his floor. Like, that's what we're saying. Like, dude, you're not understanding that most of the gas that's here is produced at ground level. Doesn't mean gas is coming out of your kitchen floor.
Right.
Are you all right?
Just look at what the average compounds of the air, you know, nitrogen, oxygen, is it CO2? All of those are very easily explained as to where they're produced. It's always, it ends up in the ground, then some plant or something does with it, and then it interacts, and all the three all just are intermixing, and it all happens at ground level. And now CO2 is even like the more heavy gas, so it will be very easily assimilated, as it were. And so it works because of the natural relative densities even between the gases. It all works with nature. It's incredible.
Yeah, he just asked if gas is coming out of his floor, so I don't even think he's that able to comprehend what you're saying. Dude, do you understand that when we breathe out gas? Breathe in gas? When we breathe out gas? You understand that, right? Most people breathe out gas.
I don't have plants in my house.
Most people are at ground level. And the pressure down. I don't know. I can't hear what he's saying.
I don't know. It's going to be a reassertion of his claim. I don't doubt he'll completely ignore every word we've said and then just reassert his claim again. Let's see if I'm wrong.
I'm not reasserting a claim. I have a high pressure at my feet, a low pressure at my head. I don't have plants. There is no water on the ground. where the
Dude, if you're in a house, open the door, walk outside. Do you see any trees? Do you see any foliage of any kind? Can you answer that, please, without the floor being your next answer? Yes or no?
I don't
yes,
even
there are
know.
trees
hang on,
outside.
He's trying to emphasize the gradient, because
I asked him the question, Arvin. I
Right.
like the silence. You open your door, what do you
Yes,
see?
I
Tell
said
us.
there are trees.
Oh, so there are trees outside your house. So since gas moves in all directions, do you think it came in your house somehow?
With that, I'll say the continue of this conversation will take place on the Nathan Oakley channel. So if you are watching on Nathan Oakley's premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, this is where I bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you tuned in, smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Again, a massive thank you to today's Discord and GPus panels for making today's live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Hello.
Hey, Brian.
So
Hey,
Oh,
Brian.
here.
Good to have you.
Yeah, it was just
right.
Two of the top three. Maybe we'll do Black Swan tomorrow. To be fair, not doing the Black Swan, not a bad thing considering how much it's been covered in the last couple of months. But I still want to cover it tomorrow.
Yeah. No, it's good. Every time you cover it, dingbats like this guy, whoever he was, I mean, he definitely is a dingbat. He ought to change his channel name to match his logic or illogic. I mean, it's just so ridiculous what these people say when they run out of facts to base anything on.
I don't know. I think this guy is almost like a new recruit and he just got handed the speaking points, but he doesn't really understand them yet. That's really how it's all sounding. Because he doesn't have any sense for being careful not to say ridiculous things and such.
Right. I agree. He's like
seems like a noob.
He's like Spurs back in the day. Don't take this the wrong way, Spurs, if you're listening in. But back in the day when he was like getting to grips with the scientific method argument, someone would make a claim and he's like, "What's your scientific evidence?" It's like a kid with a chainsaw when they don't really understand the whys and wherefores of the tool that they're using. In this case, an argument for a gas pressure gradient. He doesn't understand how that in any way would prove his point. And we've got the be-all and end-all debunking of it. It's a delta of gas pressure. You can't have gas pressure without a container. End of argument. But they've been smashed. They can't quite believe it. Hold on, I thought I had a strong argument here. Gas pressure gradients, right? No, useless argument. Quickly demolished by pointing out it's a delta of gas pressure, and the necessary antecedent for gas pressure is a container. Something distinctly lacking in a globe Earth model that's in a sky vacuum with a pressurized system not dispersing. End of globe model. It violates natural law. Sky is not a vacuum.
I think.
If
I might say
gas is
something there.
created,
Sorry, go on, Tent.
I think he's here
if
to try to get a win
I'm
on
here.
you. And he doesn't even know his own position strong enough. So he starts in with these questions. How do we get this? Well, what about that? And then the minute you answer it, rightfully do answer it according to facts we know of how gas pressure and water cycles, nitrogen cycles, all these things work. He doesn't have an argument to trap you with. And then he starts sounding silly like, are you saying it's in the middle of my floor? It's like, dude, you're embarrassing yourself.
Well, I was
I'd like
trying
to
to
add
get in
something.
there
I don't
and
even
say,
think he
like,
knows
bruh,
why
have you
he's
not
bringing it
ever
up.
mopped your floor? Like, does the water just stay there?
It dissolves with temperature, if the temperature is right.
Yeah, I'd like to say something
Okay.
about this whole
Arwen,
gradient thing.
it doesn't dissolve. It evaporates.
Yeah. Dissolve.
Dissolve, evaporate.
It dissolves in the air.
I can put the word in.
Does all usually means go into a
I-
liquid, evaporate into the air. But we
Right.
Could I put a concise top on the whole gradient thing?
Yeah. The funny detail in Dutch, it's the same sort of evaporate and dissolve.
dissipate.
Go ahead, Brian.
Fair enough. Hold on.
Brian.
Hold on. That's fair enough.
Thank-
Hold on, everyone. Can you just repeat that, Owen? That's a fair enough point. I didn't know that. Just say that again.
Right. I'm relatively confident that it's very commonly used as the same word in Dutch. So they use a singular word for both effects, dissolve and evaporate.
Fair enough.
Wait.
Okay, go ahead, Brian. Thank you, Owen.
No, wait. I might be wrong with that.
Oh, just
Although I
shut
don't
up.
know if it's such a strict distinguishment between them.
Okay. I don't care either way, really. Brian, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Nathan. The gas gradient is created by three different things. Firstly, obviously, as Nathan stated, it's the gas cycles that are a natural part of life that happen at ground level. Okay, gas is produced at ground level. There's many different cycles. There's the oxygen cycle, the carbon dioxide cycle. We have the hydrological cycle. All these things are all part of why we have a gas gradient. Okay, pressure gradient. The second part is temperature. We have temperature differentials that causes a gradient. That's also part of the gradient. And the third part of the gradient is a differential of the gases. Those three things combined create a dynamic system. And that dynamic system allows us to have a gas pressure gradient.
There was a time when Quantum Eraser refused to say the words dynamic system because they're appealing to a straw man. Why give them the answer? Why tell them this? You're absolutely correct, Brian. Very concise. Thank you very much. But we don't need to tell them that. You know, the fact that the dude exemplified that by saying, I didn't know that. It's like, well, we didn't need to tell you. It doesn't address the necessary antecedent for the gas pressure in the first place, given that you've got a claim that Earth's an open system next to a vacuum. Well, we can't be a pressurised system in a vacuum. That violates the law of nature. That's all that matters. This appeal to a gas pressure gradient and the explanation thereof is irrelevant.
Is he still there, by the way?
Yeah.
Because I was just kind of wondering, because we're constantly filling basically what his arguments are inevitably going to be, you know, because we just know. But I just wonder if he can actually make the connection to there, if he can explain why he thinks it all works.
You want the reins, Arwin? They're all yours.
I can. Gravity.
You can.
But let me suggest an experiment. Let's take a container made of glass, which does not produce gas, right?
No.
Well, what's the hypothesis of this
No,
experiment?
let's not go all the way there. Just
Yeah, why not? I was just
hear
waiting
this
for him
out.
to get there, but if someone else wants to take him straight to it.
I just want to make sure my time isn't being wasted.
Hold on, I've got to clear it. I'm sorry, was that Elijah?
Yeah.
Arwin's got different plans. I'm really sorry. I'm totally with you, and we will both bitch slap Arwin if this doesn't end up there.
All right, thank you.
It's all yours, Arwin. I'll keep him off you.
All right, I just want to see if he can finish, at least what he thinks is a coherent train of thought at it. So please continue. What was this supposed experiment or test?
We'll take a glass container which does not produce gas. I think you will agree. We will pump the air out and let it back in.
Okay.
By your logic, we will not have pressure gradient because no new gas was produced down at the bottom.
How do you draw that conclusion? Because I'm pretty sure that a gas pressure gradient in all cases does manifest in some way when the gas pressure within a container managed to find a certain level of stillness. You know, it doesn't have to be perfectly still for a gradient to manifest, but if it just starts moving around very heavily because of displacement or whatever, or the gas pressure changing, then eventually gradients do kind of form, especially if you have different types of gases combined that you introduce into that vacuum. So I beg to
Can I
differ.
ask him?
And if you will make it with the only one type of gas?
What are the many factors that can change and influence gas pressure? What are the
I don't know if
I'm not
with
asking
just
you,
one
Erwin. I'm
gas it
asking him.
happens to, it's just going to be minute.
I think he was asking the other
The
dude.
smaller
I'm
the
not-
container, the less emphasized the gradient
Erwin.
will be manifesting.
I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you. I'm asking him. Does he know the factors that can influence gas pressure?
Yes.
What are those?
Temperature and gravity.
According to that, you'll
I don't wait a minute. I don't see. Hold on. Hold on.
Hold on. Just Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Can you show me in gas pressure law where gravity is a factor that causes gas pressure? Can you please show me that in that law?
I'm not familiar with gas pressure laws, but I can show you that in the water, it's just the same. Pressure grows as you go down. Why is that?
So you're equating a liquid with a gas? So you're equating a liquid with a gas? Does gas and liquids have the same behavior?
Almost.
No, they don't. Fundamentally, gases are unbonded. Liquids are bonded. No, they don't behave the same. They're fundamentally different.
So that's a false equivalency.
And what's gravity again?
I don't know. I just think he failed like basic school physics now. That answer.
For us, gravity is force is just fine.
You sure? When you say us, what do you mean us? You mean like your mainstream pseudoscience? Because they don't consider it to be a force. They said it's the bending and warping of space-time. That's 105 years out of date, my friend. It's not a force. Ask Mr. George Mooser and tell you directly. It's not a force. You could think of it as a force, but it's actually not a force. So how would something that's not a force cause gas to stay here? Sorry.
Well, let's just ask him. How does this bending of space-time stop an accelerating gas particle accelerating out into an open volume?
I think Arvin explained it. It does not accelerate anything. It just
you're
at the
nuts.
same place.
Wow! He believed it. I'm a wizard, guys.
A wizard did it.
Yeah.
Talking
No, buddy. No,
that's the explanation.
I know. That was my explanation because I get what Einstein was doing probably much more than most people, but I wasn't actually claiming scientific validity to it because you see, Einstein's work all took place in a conceptual model, not real. So it was a concept, and that concept has no viable scientific proof to back it up based in real empirical data. So yeah, but I know that's how it's supposed to work. Most people don't get that. Yeah.
He said there. Wait a minute. He said there has. Can you show us this, please? There is scientific evidence for this conceptual medium. Can you please show it to us, please?
Time dilation, gravitational lensing.
Really? Can you show that?
What is time dilation? Please explain. Wait a minute. What is time dilation? Please.
Hold on. Not what is time
dilation? Time
dilation. Hold on. This is scientific evidence.
What is time again?
Yeah, it's a concept. So this isn't scientific evidence. You're describing time dilation, then you're describing the dilation of a concept. You can't dilate a concept. You can't bend a concept. These are nonsensical. So, what are you on about?
And also chocolate. And Chocolate's question is still valid. What is time?
It's a
Is
concept.
he not supposed to be? Sorry, Nathan, go on.
It's a concept. It's been answered. So this is nonsense, mate. I don't know what you're talking about. Lensing when you're talking about concepts. That makes no sense.
Is he not supposed to be explaining how we have a gas pressure gradient? In his belief, is he not supposed to be explaining that?
Again, gravity.
Well,
so what's that?
Yeah, exactly. He invoked gravity.
So what's gravity? We've asked for scientific evidence at the beginning of it. Arwin said no when it was like, okay, you've described a experiment. So, now you're saying this is scientific evidence. And you're saying gravitational lensing? Let's just stick with one at a time. So, what was the hypothesis? What was the observed phenomena?
That gravity curves space-time. Light move in straight lines.
What was the phenomena?
When space-time is curved,
my bad.
It curves.
What was the phenomena? What's the observed natural phenomena?
Viewing things without direct line of sight.
That's a phenomenon. That's not a phenomena. Viewing things without direct line of sight. That's a contradiction. Hold on. That's a contradiction in terms. Line of sight means you can see it.
That sounded special.
Not in a direct. Not in a straight line.
Sorry, you think viewing things in a straight line is a phenomena? Do you know what a phenomenon is?
Never mind your word salad. Something.
Excuse me, did he just ad hom me? Hold on, everyone shut up a second.
Word salad.
Arwin. Sorry, did you just ad hominem attack me? You attack me as using word salad rather than attacking my argument. That's a logical fallacy. Why would you do that?
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I asked you for what the phenomena was. I don't need any help. Thank you. I asked what the phenomena was. And then you said not looking at something in a straight line. That's not an occurrence. Something happening. That's not a phenomena. I've asked you what your phenomena is. And you've said that's word salad. That's not a rebuttal. That's a logical fallacy called an ad hominem attack. So, are we going to move on with this claim to be scientific evidence? I'm still talking. Are we going to move on with this claim to be scientific evidence? That would be the establishment of a cause for a natural phenomena observed. That's what science is. So, if you're saying me asking for science is word salad, either, one, you just like utilising logical fallacy when you lose an argument because you don't have an observed natural phenomena. We already know the conclusion. There is no observed natural phenomena, mate. Not word salad. Something that demolishes your claim that you've got scientific evidence for this utter nonsense. So this isn't word salad. What it is the demolition of your claim that you have scientific evidence here. To have scientific evidence, you'd first need an observed natural phenomena. And when I ask you for it, you claim this is word salad. It's not word salad. It's the demolition of your religious belief in gravity. You don't have an observed natural phenomena. Game over, not science.
I said I apologize.
I don't care, you haven't got a phenomena. I made the conclusion now. I don't care whether you're sorry, you're just some dick. I don't care what you think or whether or not you feel sorry. You don't have what you've claimed. You claimed you had science. You don't have step one of science. Observe natural phenomena. You don't even have that. And when I point that out, you say word salad? No, the demolition of your religion, mate.
I have.
What's your observed phenomena?
A star is a good phenomenon.
What's the star doing?
The star is just there where it should be. And you shouldn't see it because the sun should obscure it. But you...
What? How is this a phenomenon? What's occurring? What's happening? What's the effect? You trying to study the effect that's occurred? So what's this? What's the effect? Natural phenomena, please. It's like pulling
The
teeth.
sun is moving between you and the sun, and you can still see it. Somewhere where you shouldn't see it.
The sun is moving between me and something I shouldn't be able to see, and I should be able to see it. Sorry, we're asking you for scientific validity to the assertion we have gravity. And this is your phenomena. A little light in the sky that we should or shouldn't see. Is that correct?
Gravitation.
So I heard somebody chanting. Can you keep chanting down, whoever that was?
Just like refer.
Is this your natural phenomena? Can you describe the phenomena? We're trying to get to the bottom of your belief in gravity. We've already smashed it and pointed out that you don't have one. Now we're stammering and stuttering around the fact that you don't have one. You're trying to detail some light in the sky doing something. Another silence.
Is it so hard to understand?
Sorry, was that another ad hominem attack? Is it difficult for me to understand? You haven't told us what the natural phenomena is yet. Trying to get science, I've already summarised and concluded that you don't have a natural phenomena for gravity. Now you're telling us about twinkly lights, and I'm over and over again asking you if you understand that's not a natural phenomena for gravity, and you're saying it's not difficult to understand. That sounds like another ad hominem attack. Telling me that I don't understand something rather than addressing that you haven't got a natural phenomena for this claim to be science. It's not, mate. There is no scientific evidence of gravity. You don't need to talk through me because it's painful. Your ignorance and stupidity is painful. Now, I'm going to dissect it without your interruption. You think you've got science for gravity. And when I point out you don't have a phenomena, you accuse me of word salad. When I detail how you don't have a phenomena and you're babbling and stuttering and stammering about nonsense lights in the sky isn't a natural phenomena for gravity, you claim I don't understand something that's really simple. This makes you a fundamentalist religious zealot who is only capable of utilising a logical fallacy in defence. That would be the ad hominem fallacy, times 2. I don't understand this. Yes, absolutely, I understand pseudo-Riemannian bloody force space and its conceptual bent nature when claiming a non-force force that you can think of as a force. I absolutely understand your religious horse shit. You, on the other hand, my friend, definitely don't understand. So please refrain from attacking me with your ad hominem fallacies twice and accept that you don't have a phenomena for your religious belief in gravity. There is no scientific evidence. You can't even achieve step 1 of the scientific method that would be to observe a phenomena. You can't even get to step 1. You claim word salad when I ask you for step 1, natural phenomena. Not word salad, the demolition of your religious belief.
I think you might have knocked him out, Nathan.
He's a moron.
Just doesn't understand what gravity is, doesn't understand what science is, doesn't understand what apparent means, doesn't understand what gas cycles are. They're basically ignorant, mate. But you want to tell me I don't understand something that's really simple? What, like gas cycles that you don't understand? Like gravity that you don't understand, thinking it's a force when you're 100 and however many years out of date? No, you don't understand, mate. You are ignorant. Why are you here telling us we don't understand when you are demonstrably ignorant? The nerve! It's outrageous.
What are we actually denying?
That it's a natural.
Just getting a broken, crappy response from this dude now. That it's a natural phenomenon.
So
what is?
Yes, gravitational lensing is a natural phenomenon. You just saying no, it isn't. That's not an argument.
Excellent. Somebody take. Is this a new dude? Hold on, new dude. Sorry, is that Ed? Pleased to meet you, Ed. I would shake your hand, but you're not in front of me, Ed. Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet.
So excellent. So gravitational lensing is the naturally observed phenomena, is it? You seem hesitant, my friend.
It's the bending of light.
I didn't ask what it was. I asked if it was the dependent variable natural phenomena observed. I haven't had a yes yet. Is it the natural phenomena observed, the thing that was being danced around earlier, or not? Are we getting somewhere? Maybe we are. Who knows?
Gravitational lensing is a natural phenomenon.
Excellent. So that's a yes. So we've got our dependent variable. Natural phenomena observed. Step 1 of science. Gravitational lensing. Cool. And what is the independent variable? The cause of that effect?
Gravity.
You mean what God?
I mean precisely what I said. Do you need me to repeat it? I'm pretty concise when it comes to these scientific questions. You want me to repeat it?
Right. Light travels through the gravity and it gets bent. That's gravitational.
It sounds like you're begging the question of the thing you're trying to prove here. Sorry, the gravity's already being assumed? No. I just need what you think causes gravitational lensing. It's called an independent variable. That which you suppose causes the effect. That's what science does, you see. It establishes cause of a naturally observed phenomenon. Now, we've got half of a hypothesis. We've got the DV. We've got the dependent variable. That which we're observing and trying to figure out the cause of. We've got gravitational lensing. So what's causing it? What's the independent variable? Because we need to go forth and experiment. We're going to vary this thing that you assume causes that effect. So what's that? What's your supposition? What causes the effect of gravitational lensing?
Yeah, you got a good independent variable.
Gravity causes gravitational lensing, or else it wouldn't be called gravitation.
Excellent. So let's just let's just get this down. Let me get it right. So if gravity, then gravitational lensing. Excellent. So now, hold on, mate. We're just nearly there. It's okay. You don't need to talk while I'm talking. I know there's long pauses before you talk, but you don't need to take that as your cue to talk through my next question. So my next question: how are we going to vary and manipulate gravity? Can you show it me first? Maybe you can show it me first, so I know what I'm going to be handling. Physically varying and manipulating.
Yeah. Gravity is an effect by matter. So if you want to
no. Did you not understand the difference between a cause and an effect? No. Effect is the dependent variable. We established that gravitational lensing is the effect. We're looking for the cause. Don't tell me it's an effect, mate. Gravitational lens. Excuse me. Did you not understand when I said that when I'm talking, it doesn't mean that that's your cue to interrupt the humiliating devastation of your argument? No, it's not your cue to talk. I'm talking. Again, third time. I'm talking and embarrassing you with your declaration that this cause we've asked for, claimed to be gravity, has just become, according to you, an effect. No, mate. Independent variable, science ignorant man. We're looking for the cause. And you've told us it's gravity. I'm now asking if you can show it me. And once you've shown me it, explain how I'm going to vary and manipulate it. As a researcher, we're doing science, mate. So don't just immediately flip-flop and call it an effect. That's going to piss me off royally when I'm asking you for a cause and you've already told me the effect, gravitational lensing. So let's not get confused. Let's stick to the cause, independent variable. And you've told me that. It's gravity, right? Now you need to show it me and explain how... Still not finished talking, mate. I know you're keen. I know there'll be a long silence when I'm done asking this concise question. Show me gravity and show me how I'm going to vary it as a researcher. On you go.
Gravity is caused by matter, so if you want to vary it, you vary matter.
Oh, cool. Hold on. Just in broad terms, explain how we're going to vary matter. Just explain what that involves. What will I do as a researcher?
Well, you just add or remove matter, but don't you?
Excellent. So if I add matter, so I'm going to add matter. I've just added some in front of me. Then gravitational lensing. So I've added some matter. Holy shit, man. I haven't caused gravitational lensing, mate. What gives?
No, that's not what.
Sorry, that's what an experiment is. Do you not? Are you going to tell me I don't understand something because your non-scientific pseudoscience religious rhetoric of a cause being an effect doesn't make any sense? No, mate. We're not going to be varying that which... Excuse me, still talking. Yeah, it's just the devastation of your argument, mate. I know it's painful, but you need to sit your ass down and tolerate me taking apart your nonsense. I know it's hard. You think it's both a cause and an effect. I know. That's stupid. I know that when I ask you what you're going to vary, you add some mass, and it doesn't cause gravitational lensing. I know it's nonsense. Yeah? That doesn't mean that you're going to talk through my concise summary of your nonsense. You're going to sit there like a fundy zealot and be told by me, a flat earther, just how stupid your unbelievable horseshit really is. Now, you don't have to like that, but you're definitely going to sit there and listen to it. This is stupid, mate. I added mass and it didn't cause gravitational lensing. Yet you're still thinking it's your time to talk. It's not, mate. It's me humiliating you and your nonsense. Your phenomena wasn't caused by what you varied. This is nonsense, mate. You've also begged the question of the very effect and transposed it as both cause and effect at the same time. This is nonsense, mate. Do you realise how big a pile of old nonsense this is? Or are you going to maybe tell me I don't understand, having talked through a few of the words I've used?
So you got any actual arguments?
Excuse me. Have I got an argument? You've got an argument that we've got a phenomena called lensing and I need to add matter to cause it. That's nonsense, mate. It's not time to change the subject. It's time to have some humility. Not talk through me. I'm telling you what you can do. You folk like to be told. Have some humility, you stupid idiot. Not your time to talk. Fifth time I've told him. Unbelievable arrogance. Thinks it's his time while I'm telling him how stupid he is. No, mate. Your nonsense was what we were talking about. You just haven't conceded and had a bit of humility. That it was piling old nonsense. I just explained it. You're going to ignore that indefinitely? What a coward. Got no humility, mate. None. Pathetic.
No, it's a straw man.
What's a straw man?
You said that I claimed that you just have to add matter and that it causes gravitational lensing. That's not what I said. You asked how you can vary the gravity, and I gave you an example of how you can do that. You can either add matter to the matter you have, or you can remove matter, which changes the gravity.
You did say that.
I never
said
you
did say that. Yeah, so that is precisely what you said then.
It's
so that is what you said.
You're talking through me.
Yeah, that's because that is what you said. You've just simultaneously said, I didn't say you just have to add matter to vary gravity. What I said was, you have to add matter to vary gravity. And what you vary and manipulate is supposed to be the cause of the effect if you're performing an experiment. That's why we're asking for independent and dependent variables. So you absolutely declare that you didn't say adding mass causes a change to that which you assumed caused the effect. Yes, you did. Not only did you deny it, in the same breath you confirmed it.
Yeah, brother. Maybe pay attention a little bit to what you said.
You're an idiot. A double-speaking fundy retard. Doesn't realise that he's both denying and confirming the nonsense that we've just taken apart as a defence. You're still retarded. Your explanation still makes no sense. You still simultaneously think gravity is both cause and effect. You're still a retard, mate. That wasn't a defence. That was doublespeak. Within one breath, I might add.
Another.
So not a straw man. Just doublespeak from you as a defence claim to be a straw man. So useless, mate. That wasn't a very good defence or rebuttal. Wasn't a straw man that I used. I detailed your explanation of something being both cause and effect at the same time. That's nonsense, not science. Definitely not a phenomena turning into an experiment to give us scientific evidence. Your claim is bunk. I debunked it. You have no humility and haven't accepted a single word of that. And when I point it out concisely, you start talking through me. Now, your defence, when I talk through you, pointing out that you absolutely are lying, if you're to claim that you didn't state that varying mass would be the cause of this effect, gravitational lensing, but because it makes no sense, you've said you didn't say that. That's a lie. So you're a liar. You did. You also confirmed it whilst denying it, making you a double-speaking idiot. You going to acknowledge any of this, or maybe tell me I don't understand again? Yeah? Acknowledgement of any of this? No humility? Complete weasel? Pathetic still?
Because it's a straw.
A reassertion of the same thing that's just been taken apart, rinse and repeat. Not a straw man. You claimed it was a straw man because, according to you, you didn't say adding mass would be the independent variable. What you said was mass being added was the independent variable. So you both denied and confirmed that which you're denying in the same breath. So it's not a straw man, you're just utilising doublespeak. Again, I expect not an acknowledgement of my demolition of his crap rebuttal, or an acknowledgement that is complete nonsense that of an observed phenomena being gravitational lensing caused by varying gravity, making his cause and effect both the same thing, and adding something, his claimed cause, the mass, not causing his effect, gravitational lensing. He hasn't acknowledged a single word of his nonsense being laid out for him. Just claimed I've used a straw man twice, even though that's been rebutted twice.
No.
What's he trying to validate anyway?
Gravity.
You're trying to validate gravity by
gravitational lensing is.
Have you heard begging the question fallacy before?
And let's keep in mind, this was starting. He's trying to validate gravity in order to validate gas pressure without a container. That's where this started.
That's correct.
So he said gravitational
What kind of
lensing.
container are you?
But wait a second. You said you're trying to prove gravity, and then you claim gravitational lensing. Isn't that circular reasoning?
Yes, it is.
You're assuming the very thing you're attempting to prove. That's begging the question fallacy. It's a circular banjo, do-si-do.
That's one of the things you can. That's evidence for gravity.
Gravity's evidence for gravity, eh? Good job.
Yeah, thank you for confirming the circular reasoning so eloquently.
No, gravitational.
So show us gravity.
Other thing. There are other things that
show it to us.
Evidence.
Sorry, not other things. Show us gravity so we can vary and manipulate it.
Show gravity. You want me to show you an explanation of something?
Sorry, you think an explanation is showing something? So if I describe a rock to you, you think that's me showing you a rock? No, mate. Show it to us. So I can vary it. To cause something else.
Right, show it. Show the...
If you can't show us gravity, how can you show us gravitational lensing?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
Sorry, these guys are
the
chopping
word
back.
gravity. It's an explanation of what the effect is.
In science, we don't just explain things. We validate them empirically by performing experiments. And that would be to observe a natural phenomena, assume a cause of that effect.
Yeah, and the word gravity.
And I'm still talking.
The word gravity
yes,
is
and I'm still talking. I don't need to know what the gravity word means when we've asked you to show it us. And you've said, well, is the explanation showing it? And I've said no. And now you're interrupting me to tell me what gravity means. I've asked you to show it. You failed.
Show me the square
And you're going to ask me something. I'm trying to get you to shut up and understand that we've asked you to show it and you haven't. And you're interrupting me continually to tell me an explanation about something. You can't show it. It's not a natural phenomena. It's not something physical. You've assumed it. That's all you've done.
Show me the square root.
Why are you now asking me to show you something? You have no humility. You're a complete and total weasel. You've not conceded a single thing and now you expect me to give you something. No. Other than your own ass, which I've handed to you, I won't be answering anything from you. You are intellectually inferior, poorly educated. You don't understand what gas cycles are. You don't understand what gravity is. You definitely have no vaguest notion what science is. So why would I give you anything that you demand? No, all I'm going to hand you is your own ass on a plate. Nothing more. Thank you very much. With that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive, enormous thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panel for making this after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!